DJ Uzi, DJ Uzi. DJ Uzi, DJ Uzi.
Dope and arch your back.
Seriously, like, have you seen my silhouette? Sheesh, it's giving me character energy. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming back to you this week with a video about gap years. What is gap years? Should you take gap years? I'm gonna explain those questions and also my experience taking gap years before going to law school. I will be applying this cycle. If you haven't, if you don't know and you're new to my channel, my name is Ayana, and I definitely have different videos just on a law series of my journey trying to get to law school. So check those other videos out if you're interested in learning more about me. But gap years. Gap years is when you take a year or more before going back to school. When first thinking about going to law school, I never thought about personally taking gap years because I just wanted to go straight through. I always had this thing in my mind that, like, if I don't go now, then I'm not going to go later. But if I really want to do something, then why wouldn't I go just because I'm taking gap years? So kind of in a sense, I had always not more so thought of it as like a negative, but more so just like, I don't want to waste time. Like, you know, you have this age thing in your mind as well. It's just like where you're going to be when you get to a certain age. I want to be at the law firm. I need to be under 30 and things of that sort. Like, girl, calm down. You can't plan your whole life. You go at your own pace. But I was kind of forced into taking gap years just simply because I graduated in 2020. I took the test for the first time in the previous year, I believe. Was it the previous year? I can't remember. I do have a video talking about my law school journey. I'll have it linked up here, hopefully. If not, it'll be down in the description. But yeah, so I took the test, I believe in 2019 November. Yeah, that was my first time taking the test, and I received 136. And I was like, whew, that's not gonna get me into law school. That's not what law schools are getting into, especially the ones that I was looking at. So I went in hopeful, just hoping that like schools will see like my application as a holistic thing. That score itself plus my GPA at the time, so I was still in college, so I think at that time my GPA was at a 2.99 to be specific. And so I was just like, man, and I'm under a 3.0 and I got a 136. So man, but I still applied, got denied from all the schools that like I applied to. If you would like to see a video on like a story time of like me getting rejected from schools, let me know down in the comment box. But I got rejected from all the schools, and then I took the test again in November 2020. So I used the blueprint course. I didn't mention that previously, so I'm not going to go too much in detail, but I took a prep course, took the test again in that November 2020, and then it was like, no, that's not going to happen. I got a 139 the second test, so I was just like over it at that point. But even though I was pushed into like taking gap years just to improve on my LSAT score, I think this was like the best opportunity for me. Honestly, all through college, I always like had a job because I just needed money to like pay for things that I needed. Like, I don't come from a rich family who has all the money to send to me, so I had to work and take care of myself essentially while at school. So I was always working, and so I knew that if I didn't get into law school, that next thing I'm going to do is get a job, because it was always something like innate in me in a sense, because that was what was going to happen. Like, I'm a go-getter, I'm good at my interviews, and I know how to do what I need to. But literally, I started working July 2020 at my current job. I don't think I should say the name to that job because just for privacy reasons, my job has nothing to do with my YouTube page. But literally, I got the job that I have now, which originally was through like a staffing company, and then I eventually moved over to the official company. But because of the fact that I'm not working in like a law firm or anything like that, I was like, oh my God, so like what, I don't work in a law firm, what experience am I getting like when I'm applying to these law schools, because I will be applying for the cycle 22 to 23. And I will say this is more so like a more professional job. My jobs that I've done in the past were like retail, such as like working at Primark, Home Depot, things of that sort, just in retail, which I think is great experience as well for people who are working there, because it gives you experience with a different geographic of people. And being a lawyer, you're going to have to talk. You're a people person. You don't have to be a people person, but you more than likely want to have that good vibe and have that good rapport with people. And right now my job consists of like doing research, analyzing clients of that sort. And I think me going into the working field also gives me a chance to practice, such as like professional emails or just knowing the process that's needed in order to get a job. I know a lot of K through JD students probably have not worked, and they're like really nervous about like doing the interviews and things of that sort, as far as like how I'm gonna talk to the employer. With me having experience and working, it was great practice to build these professional relationships. The company that I work now, they have a legal department. We get to review like divorce documents and things of that sort. So it's like trying to make sure that, like, obviously I didn't go into this job thinking that like I was going to like get all this law experience. I was thinking more so like, man, like maybe I should be doing something in like what I'm trying to do for law school, such as like something with prison reform or working with protests, criminal justice. But you have to think about what you do in any position you are and making that into something that can be valuable to the law schools. Also, another thing about doing gap years is that you're a competitive applicant, because of the fact that you had experience out there in the real world and you still managed to come back and want to do law school. Like, this is a choice. You actually experienced the world out there, and that could be like 1 to 10 years, whatever, however long it took you. But just that fact of being different from students who do go from college into straight JD is what makes all the difference, as far as like when taking gap years and how you look to the admissions committee. So that's positives, I think, of like doing gap years. I think also having the ability to stack up cash, like really save your money, even if you are going to end up taking out loans, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to take out loans. But like having this ability to be able to save money for when I'm trying to buy a new laptop, or when it comes time for me to go apartment shopping, buying furniture, just all this stuff that's going to cost money before even your refund check hits. So you want to make sure that you have like a nice budget that you're setting for yourself, because that's also something else that you can have practice with. I feel like a lot of time we don't know how to budget well, but this time in between, I should say, I've been out of school for like 2 years. I graduated in May 2020. So I've just been like stacking up cash since I've like graduated, and I think this will be like really helpful for me. And it also helps like with me having time to be able to find scholarships that are going to contribute me being able to spend effectively once not having a job anymore. I think that is probably going to be like the hardest thing, because I'm like so used to making money now that like now I'm just like, man, no money, no income coming in. Like, even like I said, even in college, I always had a job, and it's like highly discouraged not to work your first semester of law school, well, your first year in general, because you're just trying to get the foundation of the law. And that's what I'm going to do, because I'm like, I've always been spending money for school, but it's just like, I would like to put my all into this. It's not cheap. 100K plus in loans for 3 years, man, that stuff is no joke. So I'm taking this seriously. If I'm going to invest my money in it, then I need to make sure that I'm going to be putting my best foot forward, essentially. Something else I will say is great about gap years is if you weren't able to join a lot of clubs during your time in undergrad. So, like I said, I was working and doing my studies at the time. So, a lot of the programs or groups that I wanted to join, I just simply didn't have time to join them. So, now that I've had this time and space in order to be out of school, also being able to have something else on your resume, like how it goes back to being a competitive applicant, but now you have more time and space to join things so that you can put on your resume. And don't just do things just to simply put on your resume, but actually finding things that are of interest. Like currently at my job, they are putting together a group to help better just the environment of like our department, and like they're asking for volunteers and stuff like that. So that seems like something that could possibly be of interest. That also is like, okay. Also, another thing through my job, I'm currently preparing to be in this program, Achieve Now, that's going to read to first and second grade students who can, so you can help them get higher in their reading levels. And something I really want to be a part of, because of the fact that it's just like, man, why not help the community? And I'm always talking about wanting to help and things of that sort. And that's like the main thing people always talk about. But you don't only have to help in like in a sense of law. It can be just something that you can do, lending your time, contributing to one's education, because these are going to be the next generation to come up and to basically be taking care of you. So you want to make sure that the youth is well educated and they're able to have the right resources in order to pursue their dreams, whatever that may be. So, like I said, join different things that may be of interest to you that you can also talk about. And the reason why I said to not just do something just to put it on your application, just simply do it because you actually want to do it, because in the event that you want to talk about it to admission counselors, they can see your passion when you talk about it and your reasons for doing it. So definitely these gap years, at first I thought it was like a real negative thing for me to do, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. But now that I feel like I am really grateful, because I'm just bringing way more knowledge like in the working field and just my experience with the world in general. I think that's what brings my diversity, them diversity statements. And it's not only in relation to race, sex, just anything that's different that you could bring. Simply being in the working field before you go to law school is diversity. What are you bringing? I'm bringing my professional skills and things of that sort. I'm just trying to give y'all a little sprinkle or something if y'all need it, as far as what would be considered diversity. But getting off topic, definitely. I don't think gap years are a negative. You know, if it's not for you, then that's fine. But if you're looking for reasons as to why you should, I'm telling you, there's a lot of positives. I feel like there are more positives than negatives. Also, another thing, like I said in the beginning, was the age thing. I want to be a certain age, like getting out of law school. I don't want to be extra old. You know how old people are going to law school? Don't worry about it. Everybody's trying to get their law degree. You just came at a different time in your life, and that's fine. And I feel like that doesn't play a part in your success in law school just because people are younger. And if that's the case, then you should look at some different schools that have a lot of older students, who looks for older students to have that community, because I think community is important as well. But I am wrapping this video up. I hope this was helpful as far as like just some simple advice with gap years and some of the positives that can come with it, you know. So like, share, comment. If you are somebody who has taken gap years, who has enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, leave those comments down below too, and we can have a nice dialogue. Well, once again, thank you for looking at my video, and see you next week.
DJ Uzi.
And dope things arch your back.